we begin, I would like to let you guys know that whatever information that we are sharing here is according to our personal experience and personal learnings that we have got from our Guru Sri Shivanandamai. And whatever information or whatever concepts that we are giving here is entirely based upon our personal experience. We have learned a few things under our Guru over the course of few years, and we are just trying to share them over here so that it might help someone. Oh, Shivaya Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste everyone. Welcome to the part 4 of our spirituality series in the GoMoksh channel. And in this video, we're going to discuss about the Siddha Parampara, the essence of the Siddha Parampara, and how the teachings of Siddha Parampara are related to what we have discussed so far, like going inward and all of those things, right? And then after that, we are going to discuss about the essence of the Guru Tattvam, how to identify, or are there any signs for someone to identify a proper Guru with the divine radiance, and what are some real life experiences from the sadhakas that are under the guidance of our Guru Sri Shivanandamai, right? So let's get started with the Siddha tradition first. So like we have mentioned in the first video, Siddha tradition has been originated by Agastya, the sage Agastya, right? And he got it from the Shiva. Once he got all of that knowledge, and then once he got to practice it, he basically created a set of disciples, and he has initiated them into the Siddha Marga. And once they have become the Siddhas, he has asked them to go into the different directions of the world to try to propagate this tradition, right? And of those disciples, like there are 18 disciples in particular, the 18 Siddhas, the first 18 Siddhas that we can say, and those are like, some of those are like Patanjali is one of the Siddha, Tirumular, Bhogar, Nandidevar or Nandi, and there are many others as well, but these are the very prominent ones, right? And Siddha tradition is a tradition that takes all the knowledge associated with the spirituality, and then it brings that knowledge into experience, right? With all of the things that we have discussed about, like pranayama, ashtanga yoga, and all of those things, and then along with the mantra, tantra, yantra, and in many other spiritual practices, right? So practicing all these spiritual practices and using that knowledge, Siddha tradition will get that knowledge into experience, right? So that is one of the main differences between Siddha tradition and the other traditions. And then basically Siddha tradition is like an orally propagated tradition, right? You might try to find some scriptures around, like literature around Siddha tradition, or to try to know about it, but you won't find that many, right? A Siddha is someone who has got unification with the ultimate reality or the Shiva, right? So that is what a Siddha is, and we are going to discuss very briefly about how that process is, what happens, and how can one unify with the ultimate reality. And one of the other main principles in the Siddha tradition is that they consider the human body as a temple, like a divine space where they can channelize that energy, and then once that energy is properly channelized, and once your consciousness is cleansed, and once you got the mind in control, then this deha, like whatever the ordinary vessel is, it becomes the divya deha. It means the divine source, or you can say divine element, right? And then that is how, once that is done, that is how you basically unite with the Shiva, or unite with the ultimate reality, and that is what is called dissolving in the Brahman is, right? So that is the process in a very brief way. And it's basically like, once you have become united with the Shiva, you are basically going beyond karma, you are going beyond the illusion, you are going beyond reality, and there are no limitations to any of it, right? That is what it means. And like I've mentioned, it brings the teachings or knowledge into experience, right? For example, you can think that, like, when parents tell their kids, like infants, when they're growing up, they say that if you touch the fire, it will hurt you, right? That is the knowledge. But once the kid goes and puts his hand or anything towards that fire, and once he experiences the burn or the pain that causes him, that is the knowledge converting into experience. So that is what happens in Siddha tradition, where you accumulate all the knowledge by the help of guru or from the different sources as well, but prominently from guru. And then you are put into certain kinds of sadhanas and certain kind of practices, and over the course of many years, once everything is cleansed and everything, your mind is under your control and you're not bound to illusions or limitations anymore, then on a step-by-step basis, like different experiences, the knowledge of different experiences will come to life. For example, we hear this word called I am not the body, I am the soul, right? That's just knowledge for us. But when do you actually know that you are not the body and you are something else? Is when you actually get that experience, and that experience is given through the guru. And most of the knowledge in Siddha tradition is like very secretive, and since it is only orally propagated, it is basically contained in the paramparas, right? Whatever lineage that is practicing this particular tradition has been carrying that knowledge from generations, right? And that is how they propagate knowledge to the disciples in the current generation as well. And one of the other differences between Siddhas and the other rishis and maharishis is you can find Siddhas in the physical plane, in the physical world right now. Like there are Siddhas in physical bodies, like disguised as normal human beings, but they are not normal human beings. They are Siddhas, and they are here to help people. Like whoever has lost their way on in the spiritual path, and they need that kind of trigger from a guru or someone to pull them back and put them in the track, right? So to practically help people, Siddhars are still existing in this physical world, even in the Kali Yuga. Whereas like rishis and maharishis, they have propagated lots of knowledge and they have contributed to our society in many ways, but they are not to be found in this current Kali Yuga in the physical form. They might be there in the subtle form, in like the more subtler forms, right? But you won't be able to see them in the physical form unless there is like a very divine thing that needs to happen, and they'll have to come down and all that. But in a nutshell, Siddhas are still existing in the current world, whereas rishis and maharishis, they are not in the current world anymore physically, right? That is also one of the other advantages in Siddha tradition, where you will get a guru who has been initiated into all of these things, and who has if that is a proper guru from a proper Siddha tradition and a Siddha lineage, then 100% for sure they will get in touch with the Siddhas in one way or the other. And once you are initiated under them, if you properly practice and if you don't get any spiritual egos, or if you don't fall in the process, then you are also bound to be connected with the Siddhas eventually. Like that is what the goal is, right? And like I've mentioned, one of the main principles of the Siddhas is like the human body is a temple. And just like a lot of other rituals like yagnas, homas and havans and other rituals that happens in the temples, that carries a lot of divine energy. Like performing a puja in your home is different, and going to a pilgrimage center where there is like unlimited source of energy is a very different thing, right? So that is the principle that Siddha tradition will follow, where by practicing certain kriyas and certain spiritual processes, your body becomes divine, and it basically clears the way for you to bring all that energy from the external, like the macrocosm, and help you ascend in terms of your consciousness, like elevate your consciousness to the next level, and then shedding all those layers one by one, and then ultimately it will help you to dissolve into the Brahman. And the basic 3 steps in a Siddha philosophy is like the first one, gain control over your body, and then the other is gain control over your prana, the third is gain control over your mind. And once you gain control of all these things, you transcend them. That is the next step. You basically transcend all of these things. And then what happens is, like when you transcend the body, then you are not limited by your body. Your identity is not limited to your body. That is when you get the experience of I am not the body, I am the soul. That is when you will come to know what it actually means by, right? And then the second step is like you gain control over your prana. Prana is like the energy, the life force inside your body, right? That supplies energy to your subtle centers and the subtle channels that are there in your body, like the 72,000 nadis and everything like that, right? Once you gain control over your prana, you are basically channelizing that energy in a way that it is supposed to be done, right? And then after that, you gain control over your mind. Once you gain control over your mind, you are not bound by illusion anymore. Mind is the main culprit. We have discussed this in the second episode probably, where we talk about the illusion and different kinds of illusion that your mind will put you in. And if we have to define mind in one sentence, mind is like the vehicle of the consciousness. Whatever karmas and samskaras and everything that you are carrying are your consciousness. They will shape your consciousness. And that consciousness will translate into your physical life through the help of mind. Mind is the thing that carries your consciousness, right? And in the third episode, I think we have mentioned where at any given point of time, a person's consciousness will be wavering in between the 14 lokas, 7 up and 7 below, right? That is how the mind is the one that will take you. And depending on the different kinds of influences that you get in the current world, the mind will take you into the appropriate or the related realms or anything like that. So once you gain control over your mind, you are beyond all of these things, and then you'll go beyond the Maya itself. So the physical world, when I say physical world, not just the earth plane, right? In whichever plane you are, that particular world will not influence your mind in any way, right? So once you transcend all these things, that is how we achieve the unification with the Shiva or the ultimate reality or the Brahman itself. So this is basically the process where the Siddha tradition will help you to ascend and elevate your consciousness to a higher level. And when we say gain control over the body, that means we are on a very surface level. You can say that you will be following certain kinds of practices, like for example Ashtanga Yoga, right? Yama Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. These are the 8 elements of the Ashtanga Yoga. And then once you start practicing these things, you will have certain kind of control over your body. Like your body will not bother you anymore. For example, if you have to sit in sadhana for like 4 hours or 5 hours without having to move, right? That means you need that asana siddhi. That means you should be able to sit without having to move your body, without feeling any discomfort and anything like that. So for that, yoga will help you a lot. And it's just an example. It's not just the yoga. There are many other ways that Siddha principle will also incorporate, like alchemy, Siddha medicine, and all of these things. These things will contribute towards you gaining control over your body eventually. And then after that is the prana, right? You perform pranayama technique, and then you do mantras, tantras and yantras. Like for example, if you're sitting and chanting mantra for like 1 hour or 1.5 hours or 2 hours, how much ever time you are, like once you start doing it, once you have been doing it for a certain amount of time, only thing that you can see is like you chanting the mantra. You can feel that inside you. Instead of having like all of these distractions and like your mind going somewhere and then you are still chanting that mantra, right? But eventually what happens is your focus will be on the mantra itself, right? And in a way that is also helping your mind to calm down. It is like basically controlling your mind and bringing it to a certain kind of stillness where you will be able to focus. And once you focus that, all of your energy channels are activated and they are properly, the energy is properly channeled for your Kundalini Shakti to raise up or to like elevate your consciousness and etc., right? So this is how the process is. And Siddha tradition is like the holistic science, like it's a science of the existence itself, where you incorporate all of these things and use them to basically transcend from an ordinary human being to a divine element. That is what the essence of Siddha path is, right? So in a way, a body is the starting point, and then energy is the pathway. And then the mind, once you gain control over your mind, you will be reaching that, the Shuddha Chaitanyam, right? Which means the pure consciousness, and that is the destination. So these are the three main steps in our Siddha tradition, where you first gain control over your body, you use it as an instrument to channelize the energy, and then once you channelize the energy, in that process you'll basically shed all your you'll shell out all your karmas, and then your consciousness gets pure, and then that's how you dissolve into the Brahman. So in a way, this is what is Siddha tradition is, this is what it will teach us. And one more other important thing is, like in the first video I've mentioned that there are different acharas or different paths for someone to pursue spirituality, and Siddhachara is one of the last paths, like where once you finish off all the other acharas in your previous lives, then you will be guided towards like finding a guru that can initiate you into this path and then put you in this path, right? So it's just that, like, if you're it's basically, if someone is interested by this by the teachings and everything like that, even if you still try to pursue, if it is not destined for you, you won't be able to do anything in this Siddhachara. That is one of the other things that needs to be mentioned. And these things are like given to us by our guru. Like, I'm not talking anything from my knowledge or anything like that. All the things that I'm mentioning here are the things that are shared by our guru, and only after their approval I'm putting it on the YouTube, right? So when I say that only people who are destined to be initiated into this path, it doesn't mean that the other ones are not, or the people who are destined in these are the great, or the other ones that are. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm not talking about differences or anything. It's just that the level that your consciousness is, and your samskaras, and there are multiple factors that basically affect in one getting initiated into this path as well, right? So we'll talk about this more when we talk about the Guru Tattva as well in detail. But to begin with, like, a guru is someone who is considered as a living embodiment of the divine itself. Like, the Parabrahman in a physical form is considered to be the guru. That is what a guru is. And a guru is someone who removes your ignorance, or like the darkness inside you, the spiritual darkness inside you. They'll remove that and they'll help you ascend from the mortal realm to the eternal by showing you the path of the light. And like we have mentioned before, the Brahman itself is just pure light. It's nothing else, right? So that is what the path of light means. They'll initiate someone into that path so that they can ascend, and then they can dissolve in that. So once all of the ignorance and all of these dark samskaras or anything like that attached with a particular person is, like, once all of those are shelled out, the only thing that remains is the ultimate reality, and that is the Brahman, right? When we say Brahman is pure light, it means that light has everything in it, and depending on the circumstance. For example, if a Siddha wants to descend down and then collect some lost souls and then put them in the right path and then make them Siddha and make them elevate, then what it does is, like, Siddha will take a form and then they'll descend down to the earth frequency, and that's how they'll help. For example, if there is no need for them to physically come down, right? So then they'll just adapt themselves to the frequency of the earth plane or whichever plane, and then they'll descend down in the form of light, and then they'll guide the disciple or a guru or whoever it is. They'll guide the person from inward in different ways. So in a way, you can say that the Siddha tradition, it doesn't create all these things. It removes everything so that the thing that is already inside everyone is visible. And then a guru plays a very important role in doing this, right? You might read scriptures, you might gain knowledge through the internet or any other resources or anything like that. But that knowledge, you might not have the capability to properly understand that knowledge, right? You know, sometimes the scriptures, like when they say certain things, it's not just the thing that is written there. You will have to have the capability of reading between the lines, understanding the subtle meanings that were given to us using those lines. So for that and things like that, you need a guru. And without a guru, a spiritual ego can grow inside a person. They might go in a very different path, and then the energy imbalances might happen, people getting schizophrenia, like without proper guidance of a guru, right? They go mental sometimes, and it is really not advisable for someone to practice advanced spiritual practices without under the guidance of a guru, right? And it's like basically when a guru is talking to you, it is the Parabrahma Tattvam that is there in the universe. They'll choose a person where they have done intense amount of sadhana in one of their previous lives and most of their samskaras are cleared, and they'll choose that person and then they'll make them the conduit, like the bridge, right, for propagation of the knowledge, right? And that is how a guru is considered to be the divine embodiment of the supreme reality or the ultimate reality. And then and that is the reason why through guru you will know about the true Brahman, like what actually Brahman means is given to you by your guru, and that is the reason why they deserve the first reverence. For example, like if you have been in schools before, like you might have heard this prayer, right? Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parambrahma, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah, right? They're basically equating the Guru to all the Trimurtis, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, and then after that they're saying Guru itself is the Parabrahma. So that means Guru is the divine and physical embodiment of the ultimate reality, and that is the importance of a Guru. And without a Guru, you can't navigate through the spiritual path in a proper way. When I say without a Guru, I'm not meaning like a physical guru. Like a guru can guide you from the subtle realms as well. Like even if you don't have a physical guru, for example, if you have a guru krupa, like if you have done a good amount of sadhana in your previous lives and some of your samskaras are gone and then you are destined to get elevated in this life, but you don't have any physical guru here, you don't have to worry about that. Like most of the gurus will guide you from the subtle realm, like from the inner insight. Like that is how you get all the knowledge and everything. Like for example, our guru Sri Shivanandamayi, she did not have any physical guru, right? When she was like into the spiritual path and then when she was trying to figure out everything, they used to guide our guru from the inside itself. Like she used to get all these insights about how things needs to be done, and for example, if there is a certain ritual that is happening, how many amount of the deepam needs to be put over there, like is it like the certain count and everything like that. So all of those things, the Siddhars have guided our guru in such a way that without any physical guru, my guru was able to ascend and continue on her spiritual path. And that is how the grace of the guru can be, and that is how it will help a sadhaka to uplift oneself, right? And to properly understand this, we have some real life examples from our sadhakas around our guru itself. Like for example, you can consider me, my example is like when I went to India to be with our guru and then like try to get some knowledge and discuss about certain spiritual concepts and everything. I used to visit her every day from morning 10 o'clock to evening 6 o'clock. I used to spend every single day for about like a month or so. I had spent with her. And the thing is, normally for a human being, like you might eat 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day, right? But at any certain point of time, like you will crave for something, you will get hunger, you will get thirst and everything like that, right? But for all those days, like how many ever days that I've spent with my guru in India, I used to sit with them from morning 10 o'clock to evening 6, and I never had thirst, I never had hunger or anything like that. So that is the presence of the guru. That is how you identify the divine guru itself. Like you don't feel hunger, you don't feel thirst, your mind will not waver, you will be very focused. And all of these things had happened with me when I was in the presence of my guru, like every single day. And guru is like the kind of love, like unconditional love that they'll have towards a disciple, right? And no matter who you are, excuse me, no matter who you are, where you are from, what is your background, what is all of those things, it won't matter to a proper guru. All they want is for the people to have true knowledge and then ascend themselves into the eternal realm where they'll gain liberation, where they don't have to take any other form again, right? so that they can dissolve themselves in the Brahman. So that is the unconditional love that the Guru will have towards someone who is like seeking from them. And this is just one of the experiences. And the other experience is like from our Guru themselves, right? Once like our Guru was traveling and she visited a spiritual place, and then she wanted to rest for a while. And then so she found a tree, and then she sat under the tree. And right next to her, this might be very unbelievable for people, but I'll also explain how this will be possible. But let me just explain the experience first, and then I'll get into the details after that. So the experience is like, she found a stick next to her, and immediately our Guru felt some kind of communication happening with that stick. It was almost like the stick was talking to our Guru, and that stick was asking our Guru to take with them. Like it was literally communicating in a way and asking our Guru to take that stick with them, like back home, right? So since she knew what was about to happen or what will probably happen, she took that stick with her back home. And days later, what happened was she was sitting, and then the stick was lying next to her in her home, and a man came to meet her, and then immediately he noticed that stick, and then he spoke to our Guru in such a way that he literally let them know that our Guru used to carry the same exact stick, but he's not here in the living anymore. He has left his body, and from today I am going to consider you as my Guru, and I'm going to basically surrender. I will become your disciple and I'll surrender to you. The man has spoken like that. So this is another example where a Guru, even though if they are not in the physical form, can still help you to guide, can still guide you, and then they can help you to put you in a proper way. Like even if there is no possible way for them to guide you physically, they will somehow find a way so that you will find a proper Guru, so that you can still continue your sadhana progress and everything like that, right? So this is the first teaching from this experience. And the second thing is, let's come back to the story of the stick, right? So I've mentioned that the stick was communicating with our Guru, and it was saying that, take me with you, right? So how can this be possible? Well, in our ancient scriptures, there are 4 ways of communications defined, which is para, pashyanti, madhyama and vaikari, right? Vaikari is like the outward spoken words of a kind of communication, and madhyama is the thing that happens inside in your mind, like the thoughts in mind, the way of communicating using the thoughts. And pashyanti is like, it's like an inner vision, you can say, for example. And these are very loosely translated terms, and I'm trying my best to make proper definitions of these, but these are very loosely translated terms. And then the para literally translates to beyond. That is the reason why we say Parabrahman, Parashiva, Parashakti, right? When we use the word para, it means beyond. So para is a kind of communication that is like beyond all of the natural communications, or like the subtler ways that you can communicate with. It's like the silent way of communicating without using any kind of mechanisms. For example, you don't use your thought, or you don't use your vision or anything like that. You'll just know. For example, the way Gurus know, when they get communications from the higher realms, for example, if there is a Siddha who wants to communicate to a Guru, right? So in a way, stones basically they communicate in the para form, right? And you might have heard about this example in Ramayana where upon Rama touching a stone, that stone gets transformed into Ahalya, right? So that is how the communication happens. Like the stones will communicate in the para form, in the para way. And usually trees, they express or they communicate in both para and pashyanti, right? And animals, usually they communicate in the madhyama. And human beings, they can communicate in all 4 forms, provided they have activated certain kind of energy centers and they have elevated their consciousness in a certain way, right? As a normal human being, we can if I sit next to a stick, even though it talks to me, I won't be able to perceive or receive that information as well, right? The reason why I am mentioning this is a person who is able to communicate with something in the para form means they have tapped into that realm, right? They have tapped into that level of consciousness, and they're divine, right? Unless and until you are divine, you won't be able to communicate in the para form. It's not possible. So that is how a guru is considered to be the embodiment of the divine reality. When we say they are the embodiment of divine reality, it's not just for the words. These experiences, they basically translate that knowledge into the truth. That is how we know who a proper guru will be, and that is how we can identify a proper guru, right? And then I've given you a very brief or surface layer explanation of how and what happened in this experience, right? But if you want complete details about this particular experience or any other experience of our sadhakas, there are a lot of videos uploaded in our channel already, and then you can go ahead and check them out if you're interested. Another experience would be for example, under our guru, there was this sadhaka, and they were basically chanting a particular mantra that was given to them at home, and unknowingly they were making a small mistake. Instead of one letter in the pronunciation, they were pronouncing it differently. And one day when our guru was sitting in meditation, she has seen that this particular sadhaka has been chanting this mantra for the one syllable of that mantra in a wrong way, right? So immediately what she did was she took out a paper. Our guru took out a paper, and then she wrote that mantra over there, and then she circled that particular syllable where the sadhaka was actually chanting it wrongly, right? And then the next day, when the disciple came, when that sadhaka came in, when our guru asked her to repeat that mantra again, and then once the sadhaka has repeated that mantra, our guru immediately gave her that paper, and they have exactly circled the syllable where that that sadhaka was chanting it wrongly, right? So this is an example of a guru being the Antaryāmi. Antaryāmi is the one that is in everything. They have become everything, right? And that is how they can experience what was happening at some particular place where they are not even able to communicate directly, right? They were not talking over phone or anything like that. It was just the sadhaka was sitting in our puja room. They were chanting their mantra. They were doing the sadhana. But our guru, when she was in her place, she was able to see that something wrong has been happening here, right? And this is how a guru, they will protect their disciples. And once when we say guru is Antaryāmi, this is a proper example for that. This is an example of a guru who has become one with everything, right? And that is how they are able to see everything and then pursue everything at the same time. This is also another example where it shows that the awareness of a guru, a proper guru who has a divine, who's a divine embodiment, their awareness is not just limited by space. They are beyond everything, and they are in everything. And that is how they will be able to pursue everything as well. For example, even if I live in the US, our guru is in India. For example, if I'm watching something or if I'm reading something, if I have a certain kind of doubt, if I just think about that doubt, and then if I say, okay, I'll have to note it down and I'll have to talk to my guru about this tomorrow to get some clarification, right? Probably in the next 15 or 20 minutes, I'll get the answer to that. That is how the communication happens, and that is how the grace of the guru is as well. That is how they protect their disciples. That is how they enlighten, and that is how they put them and guide them in the right path, so that there is no chance for a disciple to fall down, right? And it's just we'll say, right, the divine, it doesn't have any kind of judgments. It doesn't have any kind of premonitions or anything like that. Even if you have done something wrong, your guru will always have that kind of karuna or compassion towards you, which is unconditional. Like it is not conditional based, and it doesn't depend on anything else, right? As long as you are in that path with utmost sincerity and with utmost discipline, and you are not bound by your ego, and once you are like following the process properly, the guru will always have that kind of compassion towards you, and then ultimately they will help you ascend no matter what. And that is the reason why we say a divine guru will have that kind of unconditional love towards every single being. Like they can actually witness the Parabrahma Tattvam in each and every individual in front of them, and that is how they are. Once we say that they are the divine embodiment, it doesn't mean that they are higher than everything else. No, it's just that they will look at the world in a way that it is the same Parabrahma Tattvam that is inside them and the world as well. That is what it means, right? They have no ego or anything. They are beyond all of these things, and that is how you identify a divine guru, and that is how you should be cautious when you're like approaching someone to initiate you into a certain things or certain kind of parampara or whatever it is. Like when you're approaching certain individuals for guidance, you'll have to always keep certain things in mind before you approach them, so that they won't drag you into the things that are not supposed to be done, and ultimately which will lead to your downfall and then cost you many lifetimes, right? So that is what it is, and that is the essence of the Siddhacharam and the essence of the Guru Tattva. So this concludes the 4-part series, The Essence of Consciousness. This is the last video of that, and if the Siddhas will, and by the grace of our Guru, in future we'll try to make some other videos on some other topics as well. Namah Shivaya. Sarvam Shri Guru Charana Aravinda Arpanamastu. For those of you who are watching our videos, and if you'd like to know more about certain topics, or if you have any questions about the topics, or if you want us to talk about certain things that have not been discussed here, you can always leave them in the comment section, and then we'll bring it up to you. And for those of who are interested in pursuing this path, or if you are interested to meet our Guru Sri Shivanandamayi, you can contact us through the email provided in the description. Thank you. Namah Shivaya.